The Baylor Bears do not have a starting quarterback, and you have to have one of those to play football.
You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You are Locked On Baylor, your daily podcast on the Baylor Bears, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Baylor. I am Baylor alumni Drake Toll alongside Cameron Stewart, also Baylor alumni.
What a moment.
Thanks for making Locked On Baylor your first listen every single day. Do I look older? Do I look a little more
grizzled?
Yeah.
Looks like you're going downhill.
Oh, dude, I haven't had the last 72 hours have been miserable as an alumni. I don't know how you guys do it. All my best years I've peaked. They're behind me. Cam, who is the starting quarterback of the it's Tuesday trivia night. Who is the starting quarterback of Baylor Bears?
Trigger warning for a lot of people. It's Blake Shapen.
But
Blake Shapen's the starting quarterback.
Here's the deal.
For Baylor Bears.
At trivia night, you could protest the answer to this because...
Sure, go ahead. This is America. It's a free country.
Based on the things that Dave Aranda has said, they were going to name a starting quarterback a week after the spring game, which, by the way, was about a month ago. Yep. And there still has not been a starting quarterback named at Baylor. That is, you know.
You think this has been a full, coaches' deliberation, sequestered in a hotel, no social media, like a jury for the OJ case or something? Until they make a decision here?
The Aaron Rodgers. Just like a darkness retreat for Dave Aranda. To figure out what he wants to do. I actually think it's quite the opposite. I think they have just not talked about it. And I know it's a weird thing to assume that they just aren't having these conversations, but I would think that they're not every day waking up being like, oh, Jeff, just another day of us talking about who the quarterback's going to be. It has not been that for 3 weeks. So have they just left it unsaid? He comes out.
I mean, it could be.
He tells the media, I'm going to name a quarterback here pretty soon.
Which we said at the time was weird, by the way.
What?
Just weird to guarantee that. You didn't need it. Yeah, didn't need it.
Unnecessary. But he said he would, and he didn't, and no one's questioned it. No one, we all kind of
we've been so caught up in Baylor baseball season that it's tough to, shift our attention there.
Right, the softball sweep against Texas. I think Dave thought that would overshadow.
Yeah. Did a lot.
The quarterback conversation, and now here we are, Tuesday, May 16th, and we don't know who is going to start against Utah.
It reminds me of not to get political, but what is cheese? 10 years ago, you might remember, Mitt Romney was running for president, and he was in a bunch of the debates and town halls and stuff. He was just kind of listing off all these things Obama said he was going to do in his first term or first year and never did. And that's what I kind of thought of with this Aranda thing of, hey, we're gonna announce a quarterback next week. It's you didn't need to say that. We just need to know the quarterback before week 1. We might get a little antsy, but we just need to know in August, not right now. And so that's why it might actually play towards the backup quarterback. But then again, I think they let a pretty good backup in Kyron Drones leave in the portal. I don't think I was as high on him as some of Baylor Nation who thought he was RG3 incarnate. But they clearly had a lot of confidence in Shapen throughout the season when all their goals, I think, were pretty much lost after going, starting 6-3. They were already making a bowl game. They weren't going to the Big 12 championship after that next game. So all that to say, opportunities to play Kyron Drones and see what you had in him, and they didn't. They stuck with Blake. And so I think they are riding this Blake train until we see something different. And you and I were both there at the spring game. Sawyer Robertson looked good at times, but looked pretty raw. And that could be, that could get better to the wide zone or a better fit to the wide zone by the time late August comes around. But from what we saw in the spring game, which is when Dave said, hey, we're going to have an answer in the next week here. it looked like Robertson was raw enough that we'll see Shapen to start the season. That's just what I'm thinking.
Look, I said it now. We haven't had this conversation in 3 weeks, which is weird. I kept being like, all right, tomorrow's the show. Where
you somehow managed to BS some stuff together for 3 weeks here.
Just not mention
writing yourself a love letter. So let's talk about the quarterback.
I woke up yesterday. I was like, whoa, cold sweat, quarterback. And then, somebody asked me like, hey, Drake, who's the starting quarterback over there at Baylor? I don't know. None of us know. Nobody knows. Nobody will tell us.
Great question.
We were promised one a couple weeks ago. We haven't gotten one yet. Do you think this bodes well? Like, I don't even think there is you can make the case like, oh, yeah, they haven't named one. That's a really good sign for Sawyer Robertson, a really good sign for RJ Martinez, your dark horse. But I'll be honest with you, Cam, I don't really think that's the case. Again, it is hyperbolic to say that they're just not talking about it, Dave and Jeff and Sean. But it doesn't feel like they're showing up to work every day and spending hours on end comparing every bit of these three quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I mean, they know what they have out of these guys right now. They're not practicing today. They know what they have of these guys.
If they wanted to name a starter today, they could just do it.
Right.
They could have done it yesterday.
They know what they have.
What do they wait? Like, if you already said you're going to do it.
I don't think it needs deliberation right now. That's why I'm not thinking that it's in favor of Sawyer Robertson.
No.
If that makes sense. So you see that on like replays in sports games. The longer it takes, the good news it is probably overturned. But probably not the case with this quarterback because they've seen what each guy is capable of doing right now. And I think Blake Shapen is probably a better fit for this offense right now. And another reason why I don't think this delay favors Sawyer Robertson is that clearly they're okay to make the bold decision. They did it in camp last year. Yeah. We thought this was going to go up to a couple of days before week 1 last year of who was going to be either Gary or Blake Shapen. And they were able to make that call at the end of April, early May, that, hey, Blake's our quarterback. So they're not afraid to make that bold choice. That's why I'm thinking clearly Sawyer Robertson didn't take the job in spring ball, or else they would have said that. They said it last year. And I don't know what the delay is, but the longer it goes for me, the more I think it is just Blake Shapen, at least to start the season.
To me, even if they had decided, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, okay, Sawyer Robertson's good enough to be our starting quarterback, there is still no point in telling anyone outside of the program that. There's zero need to be like, yep, Sawyer's the better QB. He won the battle. To me, one, you should never say, unless definitively, we're going to have a signing day ceremony or who are starting. We're going to have 3 quarterbacks sit at a table. We're going to hold an event with the media at McLean Stadium on April 25th and tell you who the starting quarterback is going to be. Unless it's that definitive that you're going to name one in the next week, just don't say it. Just don't be like, yeah, we're going to name a quarterback at the end of the spring. We'll know in the next week or so who it's going to be.
And you guys will know.
Right. Don't tell the media, this is what we're going to be, we're transparent.
I don't want Dave to hear this, but we don't need to know.
No, we don't.
As media, we'd love to know, but just so he knows.
Would we even love to know? We can continue this quarterback conversation.
To be fair, this is going to give you some content. Yeah.
Right. So I'm not upset. It's okay, keep going.
We're going to be looking back at those Lubbock Monterey highlights for a couple months.
I'm mad at myself. I haven't used this in the last 3 weeks, and I'm just now dipping back into the quarterback bag because I was like, oh, wait a second. Why have we not heard anything? That's the next thing that I want to jump into here is it completely pointless to name a quarterback at this point? Can't we just scratch this? But first, Cam, what are you eating?
I'm eating a kolache.
Is that a Built Bar? That's right. The new kolache flavored Built Bar. They haven't been released officially yet, but they're coming soon to a store near you. I bet it's kolache from West, and being the voice of West Trojan baseball for ESPN Central Texas, I know a thing or two about kolaches, and I can tell you they're almost as good as a Built Bar. Built Bar, they are healthy. They taste amazing too. They taste better than the floor of Scruffs, which I licked over the weekend because senior week, along with a dinosaur. What makes Built Bars so good? Well, for starters, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. I mean, real dark chocolate. That's right. They got churro. They got peanut butter brownie. They got cookies and cream. I don't even know how to do it. I don't know how they do it. But they taste like a candy bar. They only have 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 17 grams of protein. If you want to get a box right now, but we've been telling you to go to Built.com. You don't have to do that anymore. You can still do it. You can still go to Built.com. I'm not going to stop you. You can go to your local Walmart, go to your local Sam's Club, get a 14-bar box at Sam's Club, 4-bar box at Walmart. There's the dark chocolate, double dark chocolate. There's the coconut puff, all of that. Sam's Club, Walmart, Built.com. Go do it. Just go get one. Let me know if you like it, because I know you will. I eat one every day. Was it from West?
That was such a good Built Bar.
Yeah.
It's so good, man.
Yep.
Yeah, there's
what is that song
Walmart
lyric?
in West.
What is that song lyric? You got to stop by and get a Built Bar in West.
Yeah. It's one of those Texas bucket list things.
Yeah.
You have, if you're going through West, you have to stop and get a Built Bar. By the way, congratulations on licking the floor. I didn't say that. So
Scruffy Murphy's. Yeah. So my throat doesn't feel good. I think there's something growing in it. Probably
stunning.
Not
I had to take it. You want to hear a funny story before we go on to the next thing about Scruff?
Quickly, but yes.
One time I had to take a dump at Scruff's. And I think that's worse. I think that's worse than licking the floor.
I think the worst part is that so many times there are women in the men's bathroom at Scruff. Like the women they overtake the men's bathroom. It's a very open bathroom, by the way.
It is, yeah. In fact, I don't even think the stall door shut all the way. If it was
not to mention there was a gap. You can just see through the stall door.
There was like a napkin size roll of toilet paper left, block of toilet paper. And there was what looked like a lightly used bar towel. So that's how that went.
And you can't, if you're a shy peer, the Scruff's bathroom, not for you.
But if you're like me and you're a big Zinedine Zidane fan, Scruff's bathroom is a great place. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but the newspaper on the wall is all from middle of July 1998 after France won the World Cup. So there's Zidane in there.
I've not noticed that in the
look. I've taken some long pisses in there, man.
Scruffy Murphy's.
Look straight up and there's easy. Yeah.
Not an official. You got to look up because there's no. If you're looking down, you're getting a show because they are packed. Those urinals are packed in there at Scruff.
If you did.
So we had to pause it there.
Oh, hey.
There were some things that were said that needed to be erased from the edited out of the show.
Again,
this whole quarterback thing. I think there's a lady, I don't remember her name, but she had it right. We should have played Tid Drones for next year at the end of last season. Didn't play Tid Drones, and he transferred. Austin Novosad's killing it at Oregon. And now you got RJ Martinez, Blake Shapen, and Sawyer Robertson. Here's the deal. Last offseason, Blake Shapen and Gary Bohannon, one of them had a transfer. Dave knew that. Why did he make the decision when he made the decision? So that one of those guys could leave the program. They were both in a spot where, okay, you could probably be a starter somewhere. Go do that at a new university. And now this year, you don't have that. No matter who you name the starting quarterback, two of them just transferred in. They're not going anywhere. And the other is Blake Shapen. I don't think.
And so from a quality standpoint, then, is that good or bad?
Oh, it's not.
You're not going to lose one, but then again, they're not of the quality to be starters.
Right. If you are Baylor Bears, then you're not like, oh yes, none of them are transferring out.
Starting quarterbacks.
Like they've all been. Sorry, God. Like this is maybe it's pessimistic. They've all been mid. They've all been so mid that they can't really transfer anywhere else. And so they're clinging to your program to fight for a starting job. And if you're Dave, you don't have to name one yet. None of them need to transfer. Why wouldn't you keep a battle going through the summer? Because if you say, hey, look, Sawyer's our guy right now, and Blake has a really good summer, goes through weights and turns into a different animal next season, then what was the point in naming one? There's no reason to tell me or you or anybody else. I want to be in the mind of Dave Aranda when he said, yeah, I'll let you guys know. Why? Why would you need to do that?
you've baffled me.
There's
So is he.
no one's going to transfer.
I don't know.
No one's going to leave. You don't have to tell us. Keep it a secret. Is there a competitive advantage to not naming a starting quarterback? Okay. First question. Is there a competitive advantage to naming a starting quarterback today?
No.
What good does it do?
And I say that because you mentioned it. You gave it the requisite earlier of outside of the program. The guys might know. Or have a good idea.
No, it would have been
who
leaked
that quarterback's going to be.
It would have been leaked by now.
But
those guys.
But
talk.
no, there's no advantage to name one today. I don't think. If your team doesn't know or doesn't have an idea, that's another thing. Because those are the guys you need to have on board with it. But in terms of the outside world, no advantage to it.
Then what? Okay, let me give Dave a little credit here. Let's
do it. I like
devil's advocate. What is the competitive disadvantage for naming a quarterback right now? Or is this just a true neutral? Like if they name a quarterback, is it just okay?
Well, I think it's in this case, a true neutral. I would say not naming a quarterback could be an advantage, but that wasn't the question you posed. Mm-hmm. I mean, because let's just say, for argument's sake, we'll go to the extremes here, that they love Sawyer Robertson. Sawyer's their guy, right? But they don't know that, and maybe they've got some, a few new wrinkles into the wide zone. They've got some plays that they can run with him that they can't run with Shapen, and you're not naming him yet. And so the whole offseason, opponents in weeks 1, 2, and 3 basically are preparing for Blake Shapen. And all of a sudden you get Sawyer Robertson. And on the second drive of the game, he's running a play that you didn't run all season last year because Blake couldn't do it in practice. That's an extreme, but that could be an advantage week 2 against Utah, for example. But other than that, I don't think there is an advantage or disadvantage towards naming the quarterback in the month of May.
Schedule, if I remember correct, I should know, this is my job. It's Utah, LIU, Texas State.
I believe it's Texas State, Utah, LIU.
Texas State, Utah, LIU. Because I saw today the Utah game's August 31st, and I was like, oh, what? Like, is that soccer? That doesn't make any sense.
Can we get a check? I'll get a check here.
So
go on, prove your point.
Here's the point. I think that's kind of BS.
No, Texas State, September 2nd, Utah, September 9th. Mm-hmm.
I 100% think that's BS. They're, LIU is not looking at film right now going, oh, we're getting ready for Baylor. Oh, this is the big one.
Well, at some point they got to.
At some point, right. But after the first 2
I think it's more for, I think it's honestly more for Utah or UT week 4. That might be a bit of a push, but once
Utah sees when you're playing Texas State,
Alabama,
it shouldn't matter who your quarterback is. When you're playing Texas State, you should be fine. If you're Baylor.
Utah is playing Utah Valley Tech or whatever the hell they're playing.
Yeah.
So they don't need to game plan for them. They need to game plan for Baylor.
Which I think that one's the one that was Dixie State, formerly Dixie State, and you can't do that. So within the last year, they did a rebrand. They're like Utah Valley State or whatever. One of those teams did that. Wild.
I think Utah Valley is the one that's in Provo.
Yes, that sounds right. We've been there.
Sure. We have.
So yeah, maybe you have a competitive advantage in that Utah can't study your quarterback all off season. They have
again, and that's the extremes, by the way.
Let me give you this. They have nothing to go off of for Sawyer Robertson except for a pick against Bowling Green or something.
Right.
They have so much FCS stuff for RJ Martinez, and then all of Blake Shapen stuff is just not great. So they're certainly not intimidated by that. To me, this quarterback position is so obviously not irrelevant. That's not the right word, but it's second fiddle to a lot of other things in the offense. As it was when Baylor won a Big 12 championship in Sugar Bowl, the quarterback position is second fiddle to the offensive line and the running backs.
I would say I'm much more worried as a Baylor fan about the line situation, not the Baylor line, the offensive and defensive line.
I'm worried about the Baylor line
the quarterback.
situation. They like 30 kids run per game now because of some like health hazard. People get hurt all the time.
Sign a waiver. Come on.
Yeah.
Kids are rich.
The quarterback, Baylor proved it. You don't need an elite quarterback to win a Big 12 championship or literally a Sugar Bowl.
Kansas State also proved it.
Jeff Grimes' offense does not need an elite quarterback to win. Honestly, it just needs a quarterback that's dual threat. Gary Bohannon was much better with his legs in the wide zone. Remember, you and I were talking about it at the spring game. They kept doing the bootleg, the play-action bootleg with Sawyer Robertson. He is never going to run the football. Defense. Nope. Here's that big secret. Big secret. Good surgeon. He was never going to run the football. So your little play-action bootleg is fooling no one. But with Gary Bohannon, you had to respect it. You had to.
Even with Shapen, to some extent, he didn't do it a lot this past year.
Not to a lot of extent.
Didn't do it a lot this past year, but we know he can run.
How do we know that? Let's unpack that statement you just made.
We've seen it. We saw it at the end of that 2021 season.
We know he's
Blake Shapen.
He's physically capable of running. But there was never a point last season where you thought, oh,
that's what I'm saying. They took that basically out of the playbook.
So then do we know he can run?
He got hurt doing it in 2021. Much he got hurt doing it.
So much is a strong word. He runs hard. He runs aggressively.
Well, he's not Gary Bohannon. I'm not saying that.
Right, that guy. Remember that game against, was it UTSA when he broke like a 45-yarder that should have been a touchdown and just tripped? He was wide open against UTSA in 2019, Gary Bohannon, and just streaking down the field wide open and tripped. And maybe that's why you err on the side of Sawyer Robertson. He looks like Cash McCullum, who got a recent offer from Sam Houston State in that, he can't juke. Nobody's going to fly right by him. But he's got the long strides, get you downhill, see the field well enough to run it when he needs
to. Still an athlete.
And that's why I think that's one edge where Sawyer might have a leg up enough to make a case for himself. But my whole deal is don't name a starting quarterback until the fall camp. Get through fall camp, see who's good then. See who's good right in the cusp of the season. Then name your starter and do it in-house. Don't let us know. Walk out day one against Texas State with a who's who of quarterbacks. And please, dear God, don't switch a QB every drive.
Oh, that would be great.
Anything but that.
That would be great for us.
Create a second spring game against Texas State.
I know you're probably not going to have a line that you had in 2021 or even last year, but look around the offense, Drake. Running back room, that's in good shape.
One of the best in the Big 12.
That's in good shape.
Maybe
tight ends. That's in good shape.
Freaking good tight ends.
Receivers, I actually think is in decent shape. And maybe that's me tailoring expectations.
It's a B-.
That position stunk last year.
It's a B-. It's not a bad receiver room.
So I just need a 10-2 quarterback right now. Not a quarterback that's going to go 10-2 in the regular season, but a 10-2 get the car in the garage to go 10-2. Can we get a t-shirt 10-2 for 10-2?
I need a quarterback who is good enough to transfer to South Florida and be the starter. That's all I need. That's all I need is a quarterback who's good enough
possibly
to start
the starter at Virginia Tech, potentially.
Yep. And if you are good enough to start at South Florida, then you are good enough to win a Sugar Bowl and Big 12 championship for Baylor Bears.
Whatever happened to that Liberty starting quarterback?
He was in Waco.
Is he available?
Recently. He was in Waco recently. I think he's going to the league. Did he get drafted? Third round, fourth round, something like that. He was in college.
He's probably going to
6
Canada.
Years. Him and I.
Did you know that
together.
there has been an American-based CFL team that has won the Grey Cup
95
more recently than a Canadian NHL team has won the Stanley Cup?
Yep. An American team has won the Canadian Football League championship more recently than a Canadian team has won the NHL. True story. 1995.
Poverty country.
Yep. Oh, the national anthem's kind of cool, though. I'll give them that. The national anthem.
It's also kind of a cool
good.
Country.
Pretty good. Unless you're a trucker.
But their franchises are the Philadelphia 76ers.
Unlike those Boston Celtics. Bruins hat.
Thank God, dude. The Sixers keep me alive, man.
I'm Drake Toll from West High School Baseball.
Sixers
That's Cameron
keep me
Stewart.
alive.
Thank you for making Locked On Baylor your first listen every single day. Today's show was funny again. We had that one funny show last week about the cross-Canadian ragweed word.
Yes.
The word that Charlie
And
Daniels
this week
said
we
as
talked
well.
about the scruff stalls.
Quarterbacks. This has been and always will be. Come back tomorrow.
Shout out to Zidane.
We're talking about more softball, baseball, basketball, football. On Locked On. Baylor.